Now we are recording. Camera. Zoom out.
Yes.
Okay, imagine, if you will, a painting called Salomé's Dance. Seen here in Herod's Birthday Feast. That's the name of the painting. Herod's Birthday Feast.
Herod's Freak Off.
By the English painter Herod's Freak
Herod's
Off.
White Party.
By the English painter Edward Armitage.
He's famous.
She so beguiled her stepfather, Herod Antipas, that he promised to give her whatever she asked for. She demanded the head of John the Baptist. Spoilers, that is the story in the Bible, though.
Yeah.
Her name is not mentioned in the Bible, but apparently, if you look up readily available historical texts and you connect the very next to each other dots, you see that her name is Salomé. And I would like to read a brief excerpt from Life magazine, Women of the Bible, 25 Enduring Stories.
I do want to say this is the shit that you see on like grocery store checkout lines, and you think, who the fuck buys this?
Yeah.
And someone did and donated it to your thrift shop, and now you have it.
In fact, they bought
someone
two copies.
Did,
there were two
someone
copies.
Bought
of the
two
store.
copies, and then they died, and now it's at your thrift shop.
Yeah,
for thrift shop.
Very likely true. And it was $14.99 US plus tax.
Wow.
And that was in the year 1896. So imagine how expensive that would have been nowadays.
That's right. This came out in 1896.
Two new brews.
Yes, when the printing press was first invented.
It says display until 6/16/23.
Okay. That's better than
not to get immediately sidetracked, but I am drinking Raptures now. Pretty good.
Right.
You're what?
That was the one
Drinking
you told us
Raptures.
about last week, right?
Oh, wait. You know what? I you did tell us about that. I just didn't process that it was called Rapture. Maybe we need them to sponsor our podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Fuck.
I think
that's a great call. The kratom hits hard with it, I will say. New brews, like a little bit better of a balance, a little bit better of a taste, but the kratom works.
Yeah, I mean, we're sipping on Raptures. We're reading Creation magazine. You know,
that's right.
We have a fully curated life here. We're living
Didn't
everything.
Even mention that
according.
yet. I also picked up today Creation Illustrated, the special Creation Week 30th anniversary edition,
carrying stories like what will God do on the seventh day? We don't know.
That's right. Not there yet.
No spoilers.
But what I am reading from is Life, Women of the Bible, 25 Enduring Stories, a very special episode of Life magazine. And I kind of didn't think she would make the cut, and I didn't even bother to look because I knew I would read this magazine anyway. But she did. Salomé made it. Salomé, the bewitching dancer.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're about to get into it. Like, Salomé is definitely an iconic biblical figure, but yeah, as we were pointing out, she is not named by name. You know, only she is a historical figure. She's named in a lot of art and literature, but she's not a named woman of the Bible. And, you know, the story she's in, she appears once, and it's a short story, but it is a very famous and consequential one. And I feel like her status as a historical icon lives on even to people who don't know the Bible very well. So maybe that's why she made the cut.
Yes, she's so impactful that she's able to get John the Baptist killed.
Yeah.
She's the original cluster B.
That's right. B stands for Baptist.
Yeah.
She has BPD. She has Baptist imprisonment disorder. Baptist prisoner disorder. Anyways, I think we should introduce the show and then talk about our special guest for the day, Salomé. But hey,
Salomé.
I've been singing that all afternoon in preparation for the show. But hey, welcome back to Boys Bible Study, the beguiling podcasters who stunned King Herod with their bewitching words. We are back. Ash here with my co-hosts
Scott.
And Julian. What was
Julia Kanan.
Yeah.
Jakanen.
Yes.
Jakanen.
Yes.
Jakanen Finane. A very musical movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had either of you heard him, John the Baptist, referred to as Jakanen before?
No, never.
Can't say that I have.
I looked this up. I think that originated from Oscar Wilde's play about Salomé.
Okay. Yes.
Made
Okay,
up
that
a
makes
name
sense.
for him.
Well, he was a very creative guy, and by that I mean gay.
Yeah.
That was another random thing that I learned about this, that more of the actors and people who worked on this film than not were gay or bisexual.
That is very interesting. I read a little of that. Okay,
Yeah.
something to say. Before I do, let me just point out that our focus for today's episode is Salomé, the 1923 silent film, this film was crazy, by the way. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. Very visually stunning and suspenseful. But the reason we're talking about this movie, of course, is that it is a historical fantasy on a Bible story. And that story is the story of Salomé, who is not named in the Bible. She is credited as the daughter of Herodotus in the Bible. And I would say that this film, this 1923 film that we're watching today, draws most of its content from the play by Oscar Wilde called Salomé. And I think, based on my very limited research, that this play is probably responsible for why like the greater Western world views Salomé in the way they do. It was it added a lot to the story that seems to have become like canon to the story, basically. So that's something to keep in mind.
Well, I think we should read the Life magazine excerpt, which I assume is completely historically accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cool to see a movie based mostly on a Life magazine excerpt. I think that's a very interesting way to source material for your film.
That's right.
Scott, what made you want to watch this one? Had you seen it before?
No, I hadn't. It came up in my Letterboxd feed naturally, and the review made me want to see it. And that was just a couple months ago, so I was like, add it to the list. We're going to do another silent film about something very biblical.
Yes. Recently, last year, we did the film L'Inferno. I'm looking that up to remind myself what year that was from. Had to be around
1911.
the same time. Okay, so Inferno does have Salomé beat as the earliest film we've watched for the show.
That's right.
I mean, that is an early film.
Yeah.
But so is Salomé. Honestly, to watch a film like Salomé, I don't know. I guess it's just so easy. You know, being someone who is an avid film watcher, but not exactly a film historian or expert, it's definitely easy to imagine that all silent movies are just like jangly piano as like a clown and a policeman chase each other with not a lot of substance to it. And here comes this film, Salomé from 1923, which is like really weird and scary and visually stunning. Do either of you watch a lot of silent films? We probably asked this during the L'Inferno episode, but
I went through a phase where I was watching like
Same.
Faust and Haxan and a lot of Buster Keaton stuff.
I watched
but I
Haxan.
remember being like pretty like really impressed with Faust. That one was, I was like, how the fuck did they even figure out you could do this with film, which had been invented like a couple weeks before?
Yeah.
And they were basically doing like CGI.
Wow.
Right.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it's
looking up Faust.
the whole era is just incredibly creative. I'm sure I've mentioned this on the podcast before too, but I have a friend who works for San Francisco Silent Film Festival, which I think is like the second biggest silent film festival in the world, biggest in the US. And I made it up to the festival one weekend, so I watched like 14 movies in 3 days, all with like live scores, and that really kind of blew my mind because it's just so creative. And one of the movies I saw there was L'Inferno, and I was like, this looks incredible, and there's like no storyline.
Right.
It's just like a list of hell, which we went into depths talking about, but it's just, there's no rules. Things are varied in length between like 30 minutes and like over 2 hours.
It was the first silent listicle.
So absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, L'Inferno was really good. I think after watching Salomé, I was like, wow, okay, this is an era of film with a lot of expressionistic potential and one that I should pay more attention to. I'm sure I said this on L'Inferno, but I tried to watch The Birth of a Nation because I was like, what is going on?
Oh, God.
And I made it like a half hour in, and I was like, okay, this shit is boring. But I will say that I do think that its narrative was incredibly, okay, racism aside, its narrative was extremely ambitious for a form that was still quite limited. And I think, well, Faust is a better example because it's more palatable. But like, I just think that how vivid and ambitious these movies are so early on to the invention of a new popular medium, like, makes you think that humans are pretty special,
Yes, we are. We were created in the likeness of the most special.
Absolutely.
Human.
And maybe, last week for our bonus episode about the Touched by an Angel episode, The Face of God, we were reminded that God finds it very insulting when humans try to clone other humans and create life. But one thing God does let us do is create movies.
Yeah.
So that's like the closest we can get to
2D
God.
clones. So you can make, like, they basically cloned Albert Einstein by representing him on film. And
that's a really good point.
At no point in that does anyone ever say this is not the real Albert Einstein. This is an actor playing this.
I just thought of Della Reese going, "This is haram." And that made me smile. But yeah, we really skirt the sacrilegious rule by capturing expressions and memories and art, and try not to make God mad at us. I don't know. There's probably people who think that it's wrong to make movies, that it mocks God in some way.
God sees the trash they come out with these days.
Wait until God sees trash humpers.
But books are fine. Actually, speaking of the trash that people make these days, I saw an AI trailer today called The Bible, the movie.
Oh. How is that?
Just so stupid. It just looks like everything else.
No, you don't mean that.
I do, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish if they could just
That's all I got.
if they could just make it so the pictures didn't move around in that really weird way that they do, then I would watch it. But like, why does it all have to move like that?
It looks bad.
So gross.
And it all, like you said, it all looks the same. I just don't, you have to have a very particular mind to be like fascinated by the fact that, like, oh, it's all it's all created by a computer. Like, okay, I'm supposed to care why?
I know.
No,
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, I don't want to like diss a whole technology. I mean, hey, would we, when film was born, say, what is this trash?
What is this? Why would I watch this? I could go see a play.
Right. Yeah. I mean, would we have said that back then? Is the birth
because
of AI,
every movie you would have
like
seen
the
would have
birth of a
looked
nation?
completely different
Well,
and been
that's
doing
very
crazy
true.
shit in like a way that like you could tell it was real people almost getting hurt.
Right.
The shit that people do with AI, like even to a certain extent, like Baby Invasion, which we watched recently, it's like there's not really like a whole lot of art to it. It's just like, I don't know. I guess maybe Baby Invasion wasn't the best example, but it was like in that it was basically just doing like face effects live on a thing.
Yeah.
I think that the
But,
rabbits in Baby Invasion were artificially
Yeah,
generated.
definitely. But
Yeah.
even then, it's like, what is? Sure, sometimes it was like, oh, a rabbit like swimming underwater or whatever, and you'd never see. It'd be hard to make that, but you could just like make that with like a CGI artist. I don't know. It's like there's nothing that people usually do that you couldn't just have a person make.
Right. Yeah.
And like the novelty of it is that like a person didn't make it, but it's still just like, why the fuck do I?
Honestly,
why
that's
would I
a really
care?
good point. That's a really good point because it's not like it makes me see different types of animations that I wouldn't normally see.
Yeah,
But it just it produces them without human
just out there.
involvement, which that's not a perspective I can relate to. I can't relate to a computer's perspective,
it's
know.
like people like like fatalist Silicon Valley people whose like ideal version of the world is just like AI watching AI movies and we're all dead. And that's just going on for infinity
Right.
years.
Right.
I will say
And there's no more humans left.
right.
Which,
I
you know,
know.
who knows? Maybe that is a good thing.
I do imagine a world where AI is just mining Bitcoin on its own and then having like inflated sales happening by having other AI bots purchase using the Bitcoin that's mined from like AI automated stores and just like nobody's alive and they're still just like burning the earth.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. I will say though that I really liked Baby Invasion's use of AI. I really liked Baby Invasion, and I thought that its use of AI was tasteful. And I think that like it helped me just as an appreciator of art be like, oh yeah, like you can make cool stuff with AI in service of an art project.
Yeah.
And that is still art because it's reflecting on people's way of using AI. Like it's reflecting on
absolutely.
something human in a human way, even though
Totally.
it's using AI.
Yeah. But on the flip side, if you're just making a trailer for a movie about the Bible and it's like the fucking 10,000th movie about the Bible.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And it's just like fucking, you know, yassified Jesus or whatever, because that's the only way that fucking AI can make like humans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's probably. Oh
It's
my
like,
God,
what
probably
is the
looks like
point?
shit. What do you think of Damon Packard's AI stuff? It looks pretty cool.
I don't really like it.
Yeah, I don't like.
I watched that thing. I don't really understand what it is. I don't know. I skimmed through the horror-thon thing you sent, Scott.
It's fair. I realized after I sent it, I was like, oh yeah, you probably have to attend a horror-thon to get like the constant inside jokes from a horror-thon.
Right, yeah. Those were lost on me. And then also like his Western stuff is just like, I feel like he's definitely in the territory of like, this guy would be a lot worse. He would be a lot less regarded if he had like the means to achieve his visions like exactly how he wants to see them. I think his success is found in his limitations.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because Reflections
his
of
whole thing
Evil
was
is just
just
so
like-
creative. Like that, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But like the AI stuff, he's clearly just typing in like hot woman wearing Native American headdress, neon colors.
Right. Yeah. A lot of it's not very, I mean, even like, so the reason I watched this was because in doing a brief amount of research about Salomé, its first release on DVD was 2006. And on that same DVD, there was a short film called Lot in Sodom.
Ooh.
Which is
We
like,
were discussing this story recently.
yeah, and so that's from 1933, and so I watched that today too. And it was pretty good. It wasn't quite what I wanted. I mean, none of the Sodom and Gomorrah stories are, but it was really well done. And it was extremely avant-garde. And it was more like, it kind of felt more like your feeling of reading about Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't, how would AI do that?
Well, that's
Exactly.
It wouldn't know
that's the
to
other thing.
think to do that.
Similar to Damon Packard, AI doesn't have like the limitations that humans have to like creatively solve problems, to see your like dream-like visions, which is like, I think, part of the reason why we get so many unique films and like unique spins on things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. But still, interesting to talk about emerging technologies in art creation, as were silent film at the time. And our film for the day, Salomé, directed by Charles Bryant and Alla Nazimova, who also stars in the film.
She was
Very
great.
interesting, based on. She is very good in it. Let's talk about her. Alla Nazimova stars as Salomé in the film. She co-directed, which I just said, which is really neat. I think Charles Bryant was her husband at the time. But something I learned from Wikipedia is that she was apparently bisexual and openly conducted relationships with women while being married to men.
Whoa. That's awesome. Putting that into the AI prompt later tonight.
What a time to be in Hollywood.
Grok. What is it?
Yeah, that's it.
It's Grok?
Yes.
Did y'all see that clip from that it's like a mega church pastor who asked Grok what religion is most likely to be true? And it says Christianity.
Well, that's a good one. That's good to know.
He asks it to answer in one word.
The enemy wants you to believe your doubts and doubt your beliefs, and sometimes you just need a little nudge. Grok, of all the religions in the world, which one is most likely to be true? Answer in one word only.
Christianity.
Doubt your doubts and believe your beliefs.
The God that was the God question, right?
That's what
That's
the movie
right.
The God Question is all about, really.
That's right.
That's what happens when we ask a computer to do this.
Grok did it.
But yeah, no, I agree. This probably would have been a really interesting time to be in Hollywood. It just kind of seems like there were no rules artistically or socially. I mean, there was that like couple of years when alcohol was banned, but I don't know. I just, I'm a Manly P. Hall fan, and I know that was around the time that like he was rising in Los Angeles. He wasn't in film, but he was adjacent to film, and because he was a religious leader to, many Hollywood creatives at the time, and like he was doing things like, giving weekly sermons, and I don't know. It just seems like Los Angeles and the area at the time was this hotbed of like creative industry and also religion. And I don't know. It's just very interesting to think about.
And even thinking about alcohol being outlawed for a bit, like then the executive producers are just doing like pure cocaine and huffing ether instead. That's certainly not hurting what's getting greenlit to be made. Right?
When are we going to lift this ridiculous ban on cocaine?
Seriously.
That's what I asked.
Needs to have happened yesterday.
I agree. I would love. Let me promise our listeners: on the day that cocaine becomes legal, we will record what many of our listeners will call the worst boys Bible study episode.
It's gonna be like
all
6
time.
hours long.
It's going to be 6 hours long and even less of a train of thought than we currently.
Will also be the last day of our lives.
Possibly.
Fingers crossed that'll be the same time they release the new Passion of the Christ movie.
Oh my God, that
yeah.
would be
Which
a dream.
I don't know if either of y'all saw. It will be starring Caviezel once again.
No
I did see that.
shit.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's so neat.
Wow.
It's 3
God,
days later,
imagine-
and he'll be 20 years older. It's awesome.
That's so amazing. Guys, I would love to rent out a private theater. I don't really understand cocaine measurements, but put a lot of cocaine on the table
Yes.
and just enjoy a screening of Passion of the Christ 2 with both of you. That would be my dream come
That
true.
would be
Do you remember?
amazing.
Remember when we applied to be on that game show?
Oh,
And they were
yeah.
How
yeah.
do you guys know each other? We were like, we do a podcast. And they were like, about what? About Christian movies. Okay, well, we can't talk about that. So
Yeah.
movies. So we were like,
Yeah,
we
we
like
were-
movies. And they were like, so what are you gonna do with the money? We're like, we'll rent a movie theater and like have a lot of popcorn. And they were like, that's great. That's great.
We were the movie maniacs.
The
weren't we?
movie maniacs.
That's right. Oh, man.
That's funny. I don't know if I would describe myself as a movie maniac, even though I do
No.
watch them all the time. I don't care that much. But
I think
I go
I
ape
would.
shit for movies occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely go ape for
Scott,
movies.
yeah, you're-
That's for sure.
I mean, oh yeah,
Scott, you're like a movie serial killer.
That's- thank you.
Beyond maniac.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
a movie
should
terrorist.
we discuss?
Oh,
Yeah. Should we discuss the plot of Salomé,
yeah.
which is straight from the Bible, as
That's right.
filtered through the artistic lens of Oscar Wilde?
And I'll say the story again via this life excerpt.
Yes.
Life, women of the Bible. So, Salome, the bewitching dancer. John the Baptist is appalled when he learns that Princess Herodias has divorced Herod Philip and married his half-brother, Herod Antipas. John denounces Herodias for violating Jewish law. To speak out against someone so powerful, though, has serious repercussions, and Herodias convinces her new husband, Herod Antipas, to put John in jail. Even so, Herod is not inclined to do more to punish John the Baptist because, as Mark tells us in the book of Mark, Herod feared John, knowing that he was a righteous and holy man. When a birthday banquet is held for Herod at his palatial home at Machaerus, he invites his courtiers. Is it courtiers or courtiers?
I always said courtiers.
Okay.
That might not be right, though.
As well as officers and leaders of Galilee. At the celebration, Herodias' daughter, Salome, dances for her stepfather. He is so taken by her performance that he says to her, "Whatever you ask me, I will give you, even half of my kingdom." Salome says to her mother, "What should I ask for?" Herodias says, "The head of John the Baptizer." Salome dutifully passes along the request. While the idea disturbs Herod, he feels that he cannot renege on his promise and sends an order to the soldier of the guard, who brings John's head on a platter and gives it to the girl. Pleased, Salome presents it to her mother. This murderous incident has been a popular topic for many artists, from Renaissance painters to Oscar Wilde, but not every representation has stuck to the source material. Though German composer Richard Strauss's operatic take on the story famously contains a seductive Dance of the Seven Veils, there is no biblical reference that Salome ever performed that sort of a dance for Herod.
Right.
That sort of a dance.
That's sort of a dance.
But come on.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely did something freaky.
I'm in love with this Salomé.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, I read while researching this movie that it is possible that Salomé's dance, as depicted by Oscar Wilde in the play version of Salomé, is the first pop cultural example of a striptease.
Whoa.
So,
Ooh, more salacious.
yes. Is it possible that modern strip club culture can all be traced back to one of the most powerful girl bosses of the Bible?
Wow.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's possible.
I would love to see this dance.
Yeah. Oscar Wilde talked about...
I go into the strip club. I say, "Can I buy a dance for you?" And they take me to the back, and they're like, "Okay, it's $30 for lap dance, $50 for top for bottomless, and $120 for the dance of the seven veils."
Of the seven veils.
Yeah.
Salome is a good stripper name.
Yeah, very much so.
Club Salome.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good overview of the story. I noticed that when this movie Salome begins, where at Herod's, birthday banquet, it's not really said the occasion, but they're doing this very odd and scary tableau. That kind of reminds me of Fellini's Satyricon. And it's made very obvious through the body language and face acting of the actors that it's a very perverse family. I feel like Salomé's, the movie, take on this story is like, there's a very like Sodom and Gomorrah vibe to it. Like it opens with text saying that like, the Star of Bethlehem, rose in very corrupt times. And then it shows us this like completely decadent, like evil civilization, where John the Baptist is like a unique figure for not being that way.
Right. Didn't they say that Salome was like a blossom amongst the like in a land of evil or something?
Yes.
Maybe.
Which was interesting how it was saying stuff like that at the beginning, where I was like, okay, this will be an interesting take on her. And then by midway through, I was like, what was she seems like very spoiled and like wants to get whatever she wants.
Definitely. Yeah. She's young, but I think she's like unquestionably painted as like cunning and evil. And her motivations were, she's so evil at the end of the story that she horrifies even her own evil family.
Yeah. She kind of, she likes to kill the men that she falls in love with.
Oh,
she's a black widow.
Even that first servant who comes in and he's like, well, early on, she's like, hey, this guy who keeps yelling up from his jail pit, because John the Baptist is just down there like yelling up things like kill all of the sinners and like everyone should be stabbed. He's just saying like crazy stuff. And she's like, wow, this guy's cool. I want to talk to this guy. Yeah, he's totally trolling from down there. And then so while this dinner's starting up, like one of the servants comes over and is like, hey, will you come to dinner? And she's like, hey, will you open the gate to this prison? And he's like, I really can't do that. And then she's like very rude to him. And then she basically puts him in a position where he's like, but I can't say no to either of you. And so he just jumps off the balcony, which is a crazy shot. It was the only shot like that in the movie, like a super wide out, just seeing like a body falling from extremely high up to his death.
That was crazy. That was just some great world building. Like, life is just so cheap in Herod's court, and all of the servants knew that, you know, they'd probably be put to death for disobeying anyway. So, yeah, this one servant just took the plunge. There's another scene of, you know, someone dying by their own hands because life is very cheap in Herod's court. When I don't know who that male character, I can't remember his name.
Narapath.
That was Narapath. Okay. So this is like a man in King Herod's court, and he is like, he does that thing that when a lot of movies or pop culture things show decadence, they basically just make all the men really gay, even if they're straight. So he's like this like like kind of muscly, but just like simpering and very feminine looking like gay guy. And he's like being attended to gaily by another simpering gay guy. But he actually is so upset when Salome won't look his way that he just like kills himself. So, yeah, life is cheap in Herod's court. I mean, after all, what? This is the same Herod that had all those firstborn killed when Jesus was coming, right? Unless there was
believe
multiple
so.
Herods.
Yeah, how many Herods?
No, I think it was
could there
that
be?
one. Yeah, right.
That's a name you don't hear that much anymore.
No,
Herod.
It's true.
I think Herod would be a beautiful name for a boy.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. Jochanan and Herod.
Yeah.
Jochanan and Salome. But
Like those like South American soccer players named like George W. Bin Laden or like like Adolf Hitler Perez or whatever.
Yeah.
Jock named Herod Salome.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be so sick.
There's more than one. Speaking of inspired by Salome, there's more than one Salome movie. There's also the there's like a 1953 one.
Oh,
And
that
then,
one's probably boring as fuck.
a 1973 one by Clive Barker that's 18 minutes.
Oh, well, that sounds cool.
Yes, it does.
Oh, man, it could be a little Reddit, but they hadn't invented Reddit yet, so.
That's true. Whoa, there was a 1918 Salome. This isn't even the first one.
What?
Yeah.
That's not just the play, is it? No, the play was from 1893.
And it says film presumed lost. Dang.
What?
Crazy.
It's always in the last place you look.
It's
Your lost
That's
media
true.
is always in the last place you look, people.
That's true.
So, I guess now that we're all back, I guess I could say that Salome, you know, the film doesn't do a lot for the incest community, which is why I'm really happy, you know, Mike White is turning the tide around on his new season of The White Lotus.
Yeah.
I found the perception of incest enjoyers as craven, simpering, evil people. Well, I found it not very inclusive, I guess. But
It's
you know,
really
these
brought
older
a lot
movies,
of things, and it's really, you know, watching that with other people it's really brought a lot of different perspectives on incest to the table.
Yeah.
You can really tell who is only children and who's not.
Yeah.
I've heard of multiple people who were pretty much unfazed by the idea of masturbating your own brother.
Yeah.
Some people I know would quite enjoy that.
Go on.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with the one character said that there's no amount of drugs you could ever do that would make me jack off my own brother.
Yeah. I think that's a healthy ingrown evolutionary response, so I wouldn't be worried about that. But there's a lot of it going on in King Herod's court. I mean, I guess Salome is Herod's stepdaughter, which does make the scene later on when she was caught in the dryer to have a little more context. But yeah, this is to show the Sodom-like decadence of this time.
Yeah. When does Sodom and Gomorrah happen in the Bible? Way before this, right?
Yeah. Because this is New Testament.
Got to read the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm. History is doomed to repeat itself. Yep. But yeah, no, this is a New Testament story. It takes place in the Gospels of Matthew and Mark. Similar but parallel retellings of the story. One thing I thought was
writing a gospel and then the fucking next guy comes along and just writes the same shit you did.
Yeah. Very annoying. One thing that is a big plot change, I believe this is represented in Oscar Wilde's play, but is a big plot change from the Bible, is that, in this film, Salome herself is the one who demands the head of John the Baptist. She does it after John Jochanan is pulled out. That's where I went to kick my comedy habit, by the way. And when Jochanan is pulled out of the cell, she becomes erotically entranced by him, and it's probably just because he gives off an air of purity, and she wants to just corrupt him. Everything is evil and corrupted in her world, and she immediately senses that John won't want her, and that makes her erotically fascinated on him.
Yeah.
When he rejects her, that is when she herself demands the head.
I mean, he was a weird bug-like guy.
Yeah, women
really rude to everyone around him.
I think women,
especially women, and so it only makes sense that she would be attracted to him.
He was being so dramatic too, being like, "No, stay away from me," while not moving away from her himself.
Yeah,
that was very interesting. I felt like his characterization in the movie was supposed to be tempted by her.
You think so?
Yes. It seemed like he was slightly tempted.
Mm-hmm. He was wearing
It's actually amazing how much in a silent film you can show that you're he's normally being super self-righteous or whatever, and him letting that down a little bit speaks volumes.
Yeah. Yeah, there
was
just
in his reaction, his hesitation to react in his faces.
Right. Yeah, there was definitely he doesn't give in, but you could sense this question in him of holding fast to his holy morals or not. And I guess this is just the power that Salome has over people, her own stepfather, other men in the court, even the great Jochanan. But ultimately rejected. It is she who asked for the head of John the Baptist. It's said in the movie to have been encouraged by her mother, because her mother didn't like the insults that Jochanan was saying from within the dungeon. But in the Bible, it's not meant to be her choice exactly. I believe it's orchestrated by the mother.
Yeah,
for the reasons that Scott read earlier.
Right. It suggests that her mom puts her up to it, and in this take, her mom's delighted to discover that that's what Salome wants.
Right. And Salome's real reason for demanding the head is that so she can kiss him.
Ooh.
Yes, because he turns her down before, and then she's like, "Yeah, your body disgusts me," and she's like, "Oh, but your black hair is like the void in the forest." And you're like, "What? This is crazy."
Yeah, it was really crazy. My daughter, I will give you anything in the kingdom. Yes, I would like sloppy toppy from John the Baptist.
He's like, "No, I said you could have half my kingdom," and she's like, "Yeah," and I said, "I want sloppy toppy from John the Baptist."
Half the kingdom sounds like a lot of responsibility.
We always want
That's
what
true.
we can't have. Yeah.
Head from a guy who lives in a dungeon or half the kingdom. I think sometimes the less obvious answers is the real one.
It's like the meme of the car, like it's veering off.
Sure. I was thinking of the food pyramid meme where it's like at the top, it's like half the kingdom, and then the whole base of the pyramid says sloppy toppy from a guy who lives in a dungeon.
From the Castle Freak.
Yeah, Baptist freak. But
The Castle Jesus Freak. Really?
What would people think if they knew I was a castle freak?
Y'all play too much, man. This is
y'all
too
play
funny.
too much.
Y'all play too much.
You saying y'all play too much? So.
I'm happy to say when Full Moon had their Valentine's Day sale this past year, I bought Castle Freak. Just a funny thing to buy for Valentine's Day.
That's
very
very
kind of
cute.
go with this movie, though. Great.
I used to watch
great costumes in this movie. Sorry, you used to watch what?
No. The costumes in this movie were fantastic. Like they were very avant-garde, very ballet-like, very opera-like.
Yeah.
I mean, this story, everything about it. I mean, I think the lead and co-director was a ballet dancer. Just like I'm pretty sure. I thought I read that on Wikipedia, but maybe I should double check. But then also like the structure of the story and how it was a very classic like one act tragedy arc. And operas, the whole point of opera is that they build up to like an insane conclusion, especially like tragedy operas. Like the music and the intensity and everything just like ramps all the way up until at the end it's like four people like screaming at each other and then someone dies. That's like what the whole point is. And that's pretty much exactly what happens in this movie. With, a powerful dance to like culminate the halfway point. Like that's also a very big like opera trope. So yeah, I found this to be, it was a film production, but I found it to be like very inspired by the stage.
Definitely.
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Salomé had these like little balls on her wig. Like she kind of looked like this weird dandelion or something.
Yeah.
And everyone in the court was dressed in this very kind of like fantasy medieval futurist way that kind of reminded me of like Zardoz or the Holy Mountain.
It was a little Zardozy. It works too, not just because of like the time period and it being closer to everybody watching stuff on stage than not, but the whole story is very like stage, like the like Herod himself, he has his stage where he's always the center of the tension with like an audience. And then she has her stage that she, just because she's like so hot or whatever, and so like she's got the riz, and then John the Baptist demands his own stage even from his prison below, because he's just like in his own lane, just like spouting out stuff off the top of his head.
Yeah, I think this is what life was like before phones.
Yeah.
Oh,
because we needed something to shift our
I
attention
hate
to.
the dance of the seven veils.
Oh my god! You have to talk about him. We have to talk about him.
I hate the dance of the seven veils.
I hate
it's
I hate the dance of the seven veils. I hate the veils.
the veils.
They are. It is a great dance.
Yetzer Harma trap.
It is a Yetzer Hara trap. We have
And
to talk about
Herodias,
it in a
she's
moment.
ultimately mad because she's not getting her stage, even though she has just as much power as anybody else. And like she like left her husband, who is Herod's brother, for him. And then now he's into his stepdaughter, who's also his niece.
Right. Yeah, it's all in all, it turns into a movie about like people very childishly competing for the center of attention in court. But
It's kind of like, you know, a lot of movies today are about, you know, the aristocracy. And I mean, it's, you know, an old tale about aristocrats going ape shit, wanting to fucking suck and dance the seven veils for each other, you know.
sounds fun.
Not that far off from White Lotus, you know.
No, it's true.
I gotta watch this White Lotus.
Yeah, you should
It's
watch
awesome.
it.
You'd
It's
love
really
it.
good. Yeah.
I did see the one clip that told me everything I needed to know about what you were talking about earlier, though.
Good.
Somebody at work pointed out something that was very funny, which is that if you don't know anything about that show, he said he doesn't know anything about that show. He thought it was like a Marvel show
Huh.
because of the title. I mean, there's so many fucking like Black Widow.
Yeah, right.
Like the green whatever.
Yeah, the fucking green
Green
mantis
Lantern.
or
fucking
whatever.
green
Green
mantis.
Goblin.
Yeah, the green goblin.
And the White Lotus.
Yeah, I agree. It has like it's the name of a place, which is like kind of it's very John Wick, like the fucking
The Continental.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, he just thought, and I said it's like a Marvel series for people who have a monthly subscription to Criterion Channel,
Yeah.
which is true. But yeah, I think that what was effective about Salomé was that it used the burgeoning technology of film at the time to elevate a stage production, you know, by use of like close-ups and like framing of shots and things like that. You know, it expanded on the stage, but was able to convey like the human drama of competition, like sexual competition among the family as a backdrop to this like story about them killing Jokinon.
Joking on.
That was
That's where
awesome.
I go to kick my comedy addiction.
It was so good.
That's like
I hate the
when-
joking on.
wait. Let's talk about him now. By the way, I just want to say what you just did. That was kind of like when Matthew already wrote something in the Bible, and then Mark wrote it. Okay, can we talk about Flynn Goldstein? Can we completely
We
stop talking about this
need to
movie and
talk
talk
about
about
Flynn
Flynn Goldstein?
Goldstein.
We need to
Please,
talk about
I don't know
him.
what you guys
Have
are
you seen
talking
this
about.
guy?
Please.
Okay,
No,
wait. I thought we
haven't.
sent this to you. I
brother.
thought we sent this to you. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Scott, you have to see Flynn Goldstein.
Flynn
So,
Goldstein.
Flynn Goldstein is a 16-year-old Orthodox Jewish influencer.
I was raised Jewish, and if for people who haven't listened to the podcast very long, I am Jewish.
Okay, you're setting the stage
And
here.
I give a blessing to both of my co-hosts to say whatever you want for the next 15 minutes. Are those pictures of me with my shirt off, or you
No,
with
me.
your shirt off?
Does that mean we can talk about
I like the idea that I have all these access and
I
pictures
have
to you
a
with
bunch
your
of
shirt
pictures
on.
on my phone of me with my shirt
Well,
off.
of course. Hold on, I have to make sure this is the right video. This is what. By the way, what Scott? The funny thing about this
God.
screen grab I'm going to send you.
Yes.
The funny thing about this screen grab I'm going to send you is that it starts off. I forgot to edit out like the dashboard of my phone, and you can see that I'm listening to "Perfect Day" by Lou Reed featuring Luciano Pavarotti. Like that's just what I'm listening to in the background. And then I'm like, "What's up with this crazy Jewish kid?" And then I screen record an Instagram reel. But Scott, I want you to. Okay, it's still sending. I need you to take a moment, and we're just going to leave this on the pod.
Okay.
You got to watch this video, and experience it for the first time. And if there's some way you can do that so we hear the audio, like you holding your phone up to the mic or whatever, we would really like that.
I mean, Jokinen was basically the Flynn Goldstein of this. He is Orthodox
He was
Jew.
saying, I hate the phone.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. He was a mantis-like Orthodox
Yes.
Jewish guy with horrible posture who also simultaneously was like, you just want to know more about him. He was very like seductive in a way.
So I started looking at Flynn Goldstein's dad, and he is like, this whole thing has been like a long con by him to make his kid. He's been known as TikTok Daddy on TikTok for years before this video came out.
Flynn Goldstein's father is a non-Orthodox Jewish man.
Yeah, he's Reform, and
called
he's been
TikTok Daddy.
and he has been like filming Flynn Goldstein without his consent. Who it's very clear from like videos from a couple. I mean, it's clear from this video, but also from the ones that he's been uploading since like 2022 or whatever, for like the past 3 or 4 years. He's been uploading videos of Flynn, who is like very clearly on the spectrum and does not like to be filmed.
Yes.
And his dad is just like filming him basically like stimming out for like years until he finally settled on the stem of being Orthodox Jewish.
Right.
And now like he's gotten I can't say that it's paid off.
Okay.
I have no idea how the fuck this.
Okay.
Well, the IDF finally stumbled upon it and probably gave them a lot of money.
So please
my God.
please experience this 40-second video.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful.
Here we go.
I hate the phone. I really hate Look, I think it's a wonderful marvel of human ingenuity. But it's a Yetzer Hara trap. I really believe that.
Yes,
so
dude.
I've set limits on my phone. I tried to turn things off. I blocked certain websites, thank God.
Thank God.
And so I'm hoping to curb the Yetzer Hara. That's my hope. But I am sometimes the Yetzer Hara wins. Sometimes I lose time for Gemara because I'm doing who knows what.
Yeah.
But I'm trying my best. I hate
music.
the phone.
Wow.
He's 16.
Wow.
I hate the vote.
Why does he sound like that?
Who taught him to sound like that?
Where is he from?
Like Pennsylvania or something.
Yeah, his
Oh my
family's like
God.
rich. He has a huge house.
His parents do not, his dad at least does not sound like that.
No, so his dad's
like fucking Big Justice or whatever type guy.
yes.
Check out this kid. He's doing it again. And his kid is like stimming out singing Torah songs. What a way to get out of doing your homework. You got to do my homework for me. It's Shabbat and I have a project due.
Yeah, that's what he says. We watched more of that podcast that he was on. Okay, so then, by the way, I just want to set the scene. I found that clip of I hate the phone. I had no idea. Flynn Goldstein's kind of blowing up this week, I think. I'm not the only one who knows about him. But like
I saw Sam Hyde had some things to say about him, but don't go listen to that.
I'm
Listen
sure.
to our take on it.
I'm sure.
I don't want to know what he has to say about him.
But like I just saw this was served to me on Instagram Reels because I guess one of my friends liked it, like, unironically. And I just I was looking at Instagram and I like moved my finger in the wrong direction. And just immediately it was just that kid going, I hate the phone. And I was like, what is this? And then he says, it's a Yetzer Hara trap. And I was like, what? And I looked it up and, Yetzer Hara means like original sin or something like that. It basically just means like man's tendency towards sin.
Okay.
And so, the phone, he's saying that the phone is a Yetzer Hara trap and that sometimes he loses time for Gemara doing who knows what. So I learned a lot and I was explaining this to everyone I spoke to. And then we were at the bar and we ran into one of the people who wrote the song Like a G6. And I was speaking to him for a while and I was saying, do you know about the Yetzer Hara trap? And I was explaining it. to him. And I that's just what I did for every single person I met for like 24 hours, including the guy from Terror
Every time
Jr.
I came in to this bar, I could hear Ash yelling at the top of his lungs, Yetzer Hara trap.
It's a Yetzer
in
Hara
someone
trap.
else's face, like spit flying into their face.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Strangers, friends. Yeah, I got really obsessed with the concept, and it's all thanks to Flynn Goldstein. And that was before I even knew that his father was a guy who called himself TikTok Daddy.
Yeah.
Who had been like basically harassing
God.
and exploiting him, his autistic son.
Yep. He just has all these videos of him on in a plane. They're like 6 seconds long, and it's just Flynn talking to the stewardess. This is before he's like Orthodox Jew,
Right.
and that's it. He was just like, I don't know. It seems like he was just like, if I just film my child every moment that he's awake, one of these is gonna hit.
Yeah, and he probably just like knew that his son was kind of weird, like quirky,
Yeah.
aka on the autism spectrum. So like he would eventually capture him doing something like, yeah, weird.
Yeah.
And turns out that thing was becoming Orthodox Jewish. And I love that podcast he's on. It's called Meaningful People.
Yes.
It's hosted by that other like Orthodox Jewish teen. And we were watching that full episode, and we were all like, what? How is this kid a famous podcaster? But then I see him in conversation with Flynn Goldstein, and he's making this like dazzled like smile, like Flynn is just saying all these magical things to him. And I was like, wow, he's so good at that.
His son, I'm on TikTok Daddy right now. 0 following, doesn't say how many followers. 14.5 million likes.
Sure.
His bio says, go follow my son's account, Flynn_TikTok Daddy's son.
Whoa. So he's branded Flynn as like his property.
Yeah. Why does he walk like an old man? This guy needs to fucking...
I'm opening up Flynn's page.
God.
Something went wrong. Try
He
again
really
later.
hates when he's being filmed. This guy's psychotic.
I hate the phone. I saw this funny video where Flynn is like, he's like filming Flynn, and at this point Flynn is Orthodox. He's like wearing a yarmulke and stuff. And Flynn like goes into the kitchen to like eat a single carrot, and his dad is like filming him. And he says like, do you have anything to say with all the suffering in the world? And Flynn does this very bemused like shrug and just walks out of the room. But he's walking like he's 85 years old.
I think I just saw that one.
Wow.
Yeah, they're also like filthy rich looking at this house.
Yeah,
This looks
they're
like the
really-
house from Baby Invasion, to be honest. Dude, Baby Invasion coming into
Flynn Goldstein's
TikTok
house?
Daddy and Flynn Goldstein's house.
Oh my God. So I'm glad we got to talk about Flynn Goldstein. I'm so glad you brought him up. I hate the dance of the seven veils. It's a Yetzer Hara trap.
Wow. What a magical world we live in.
I know. I'm always just happy to learn about a new trap
Yeah.
Whoa.
or just a new concept.
A Yetzer Hara trap queen.
There's a version.
That's
I'm like, hey, what's up, Shalom? I just came up with that right now. That's pretty
That's
good.
really good.
There's a version of Salomé from 2013 that Al Pacino directed,
What?
Whoa.
starring Jessica Chastain as Salomé.
Okay.
Okay.
And Pacino plays Herod.
Damn. I'd watch that.
Jessica
she's pretty
Chastain was
fine.
like 40.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, she's a beautiful woman.
People
but,
in the
like,
Bible live to be like 400.
Oh my God.
No, I agree.
learned
There's something wrong with that.
Okay, I learned something. Hold on, I have to Google this so I say it right. I learned that there's a scientific, and by that I mean insane people on Twitter. There's a scientific explanation for why humans lived for like 1,000 years in the Bible, and now they live less than that.
Ooh,
Um,
please tell me.
Seed oils.
It's because there's a chemical in the water called deuterium.
What?
Deuterium depleted water. Blah, blah, blah. It's called light water.
Dude, what the fuck? Where did you read
And
this?
people think that all water in the world was deuterium depleted in Bible times, and that's why everyone lived to 1,000.
Wow.
And now there is deuterium in the water. I don't really understand.
When
Maybe
did
it's not like
deuterium
something that's
Deuterium?
in the water. Yeah, I'll send you this Wikipedia article. The Wikipedia article does not mention the Bible times thing that I'm talking about. But like, I think that it like cures cancer.
Deuterium does?
No, like the anti-deuterium water.
What?
Okay. Jamie, can you look this up?
Grok, can you look this up?
Grok, where can I buy some deuterium depleted water? It says the closest thing we have nowadays is Essentia.
What?
Yeah, you wish. You Essentia drinking bitch. I'm at the very beginning of TikTok Daddy's TikTok
Okay.
account. Trying to find.
Oh, you can buy deuterium. You can buy Qualarivia brand deuterium depleted water on Amazon.
Should we try it?
Yeah, it's only you can get a 12-pack for $130.
Do you really want to live till you're 4,000 years old? Like, all the rich people trying to live forever. Why? What the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Gotta watch every
I'm
version
ready
of
to
Salomé.
die today.
Yeah, Scott would probably have a pretty good
Yeah.
way to use it.
Yeah, I gotta watch all the movies.
Yeah,
I'm a movie
At least he has a reason.
psychopath.
he has a reason to go on.
Proteum water.
I feel like I've learned so much over this podcast today.
This has been one of our more informative episodes.
I'm glad you see it that way.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
because
glad
it's
getting
pre-talking.
deuterium.
It's pre-talky. Like get pre-AI aside, pre-CGI aside. It's pre-talky.
Do you think people talked during silent films in the
Yeah.
did people just go and like have full conversations and shit, or like read out loud, or like read the subtitles or whatever the fuck they're called out loud?
Well, sometimes you would actually have somebody who like a narrator who's because there's like a live orchestra playing.
Ah, right.
So then you would have,
And they'd have, like, a guy
sometimes
up
you would
there
actually
who's-
have somebody read it too. Yeah.
doing all the funny voices.
Oh, Jockenin.
Making
Let's make this
sounds.
thing.
Ow, you're grabbing me. That hurts.
Ow, 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 ow.
And then we took away the film and called it a podcast.
Yes, we did. Yes, we took away the
Paved
film.
paradise to put up a parking lot. Okay, this is like the fifth time I've seen this.
Final unrelated discussion before we
Oh
wrap.
my God.
Guys, we have the actors who are confirmed to play the Beatles. They are
Yep.
Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney, Harris Dickinson as John Lennon, Joseph Quinn as George Harrison. I don't know who that is.
Flynn Goldstein as Ringo.
Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr.
Wow.
That's funny.
Yes, it is. I love to see
That's crazy to see the pictures of the guys who are playing them next to,
well, because there's this
like,
trend.
by today's
yeah.
beauty standards, the Beagles are some of the fucking ugliest
Ugliest
people on
guys
earth.
of all time. No, it's a thing people love nowadays is to like cast people that look like exactly like, or I'm not saying that's the case here, but I'm saying a thing people like nowadays is when you cast someone who looks exactly like a photo of like
Yeah.
a famous person, because people are like, wow, such good casting.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. They want to see
so-
somebody look exact. It's like the fucking Touched by an Angel thing. You want to see
Right.
somebody who looks. You think you want to see like the actual person as if
Right.
they are starring in a movie about their own life.
And you
Right.
don't. That's not what you want. That just leads to this
No.
like boring
People
ass
don't know what they
AI
want.
that all looks the
It's a
same.
Yetzer Hara trap.
That's the Yetzer Hara trap. But
right.
yeah, that's why I think this Beatles side by side really makes me laugh, because not just because it's the Beatles, which are so funny, but also just because like the actors, like, they're just like handsome white brunettes. Like they're like just guy. I don't know. It's like, I don't know why it makes me laugh so much. It's just like 4 famous handsome guys, and they're like, these are the new Beatles. It's like, what?
They should just have 4 different like charismatic music artists do it, who are like it should be like Ariana Grande as George Harrison.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I was thinking like The Dare, Youngblood, Blade, and
there you go. Cash Cobain.
Oh, let's just do the Drain Gang. Why? Oh, that part. There we go. It could be Blade, Echo 2K, Thai Boy Digital, and the other one, of which there might not actually be another one. I can't remember.
Get Playboy Cardi in there.
That would be interesting. Playboy, yes.
Yeah.
I would really like to see that. Well, anything else to say about Salomé?
Let's review this shit.
Shall we? I would be down.
Yeah, it's I thought this was a beautiful take on the Bible story. It looked fantastic in every way. Really brought out the very strong selfish feelings from everyone across the board, including John the Baptist, aka Jacqueline. They sure don't make movies like they used to.
That's for damn sure.
I am gonna have to give this 10 out of 10 movie versions of Salomé.
Wow. Is that how many?
Yeah, probably. I didn't get to the bottom of the list yet.
This was a sexy, edge of your seat thriller that had me in stitches and my jaw on the floor. I give it 7 out of 7 dances of the 7 fails.
Oh. Well, that is high praise for Salomé. I really like this movie. I thought it was honestly riveting. I started it being like, okay, I'll watch a boring movie. And then about a half hour in, I was like, I have to pee and I don't want to pause it because I'm enjoying myself so much. Pissed all over the damn floor. But it was worth it.
Shit, dude.
No, I thought this was a really neat movie. I liked that it has so much pop cultural significance. The Bible is just as powerful today as it was back then. Gonna have to give this film 2 out of 2 simpering gay guys. Because that's... Listen, it may take one girl to dance the dance of the 7 veils, but it takes 2 simpering gay guys to tango.
So true.
Yeah, we'll pretend that had any through line whatsoever.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. What a beautiful movie. I think it's about that time where we thank all of our listeners for listening to the show. Why don't you go to boysbiblestudy.com to catch up on our century of Christian movies, all the way from 1911 to 2024. I think that's the range of Christian cinema we cover, with this one firmly on the lower end of the scale. And also, we invite you to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/boysbiblestudy, where we post bonus content. And if you subscribe, you can get Boys Bible Study episodes every single week. Shout outs to our patron saints at the $20 tier, Nicole, Marissa, Jeff, Rhett, and Mark. And our outro song is Oh My God by Mary. So from all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-hosts, Scott and Julian, we would like to say, peace be with you.
It's a silent
silent movie ending.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when you enter me. Every day you take me